Welcome to Fantasia, home to Melodious. My name's Azallea, and today gonna be bringing you guys another post-duel commentary. Now this time playing in round number 8, the last round of Swiss of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Non-Meta Tournament, co-hosted by me and my friend Zom. So looking at my opening hand, it's pretty good because I can start off with a first move in solo and have access to Aria or Cannon, and then use Soprano and go for fusions or XYZs. But my opponent is playing Herald of Perfection, and he opens with Herald, so now I'm at a very tough spot where I basically have to force negations in order to even play. And because his Dawn of the Herald is able to add the Ben 10 from his graveyard back to his hand, I know that he has at least one negation, and he searched out the Star Set of Sovereignty, so now I know he has 3 negations, because normally if you search Sovereignty it means you have Scepter in your hand. So knowing that, then it just makes it so that, okay, I have to play around 3 negations, so I'm going to use my first move in solos first to see what I can do. I bait out 2 negations, he uses the Sovereignty and the Ben 10, so now I don't know what the other 2 cards are in his hand, so I test the waters. I test with the Ritual Sanctuary to see if he has anything, because if he can't negate this, if he has no more negations, then cool, I can set up for a Saphira play, but no, he has another Manju to negate the Ritual Sanctuary, and here I'm like, okay, there's no way he could possibly have a 4th, but yeah, there's the Scepter that I called earlier. The pre-preparation of rights gets negated as well. So I set the Soprano because she has 1400 defense. So if he decides to only keep his Manju in attack position, he can't attack over her, right? He'd have to change his Herald to attack position like he's doing now in order to get any damage in. But he has 1 card in his hand, and I'm thinking, okay, this is not too bad, because I have a Soul Charge. If I draw into something else, I can potentially do something, right? If that's a spell card in his hand, but no, the connection has been lost. So the reason behind this is because this match was done after the big YGO Pro update, which means that YGO Pro was kind of experiencing a ton of issues, games are crashing, and that happened a lot actually during this match. So this was the first game that we tried to play, and it didn't really work out, right? And since there was no clear winner, because he only had 1 card in his hand and I was about to draw something else in addition to my Soul Charge, we decided, okay, well, that wasn't really decisive and there's no way to determine who was in a better position. So we decided, okay, let's scrap that game and let's redo game number 1. So let's hop right back into game number 1. Alright, welcome back everybody to game number 1, redoing this because our first game crashed and there's no decisive winner. So looking at this hand, it's not too great, but I do have the Maxi in order to try and get some draws off of his plays. But of course, he has the pre-preparation of rights, such as out the Dawn of the Herald and the Herald of Perfection. Now, I'm very familiar with the Herald deck. I used to play it for a little bit, but yeah, so my opponent here actually, not what I expected him to do. I expected him to just go straight for the Herald first, but it looks like he's gonna go for a Summoner Monk, discarding the Metaphors Fusion to go for a summon. I'm thinking, oh my god, this is perfect. If he summons Scepter and he has a Sovereignty in hand, if he's gonna go off, I'm gonna get so many draws. But yeah, he just summons the Scepter, he doesn't reveal a Sovereignty, or he didn't want to trigger the Sovereignty if he had another one in his hand. Just searching a Sovereignty and getting a draw of Metaphors Fusion, so he still goes +3, I believe, on his first turn, which is pretty good. And I only got 1 draw for the Maxi, so I only went 1 for 1, and that kind of sucked. It really did hurt, because looking at this hand right now, I have 3 cards that require normal summons. I have Soprano, and I have 2 copies of Summoner Monk. And here, I also have the Ritual Sanctuary and the Terraforming. Terraforming can get another copy of Ritual Sanctuary, but that's not going to do much. And the only other card I have as a combo piece for my Ritual Summon is a Ben 10. So Ritual Sanctuary can search me 1 more piece, but then I don't have anything else after that, which really does suck. And as my opponent was saying, yeah, definitely was preferring game number 1. Even for me, I'd prefer that Herald on the field to what I have right now, because I don't even have anything that I could possibly bait a Herald with this hand. I have 3 monster cards, 1 that cannot be summoned, and 2 that require normal summons. So yeah, it's kind of a bad position to be in right now. So I decided to go search the Hymn of Light, and Summoner Monk will discard the Hymn of Light to summon an Aria from my deck. And Aria can provide me a decent amount of protection because I know Herald decks can't really get over it. There's no generic rank 4 XYZ that can really get over Aria except like Exciton Knight, but we know that he's banned. So that's always a good thing, right? So yeah, my opponent has 7 cards in his hand now, and kind of worried because if he has another Star Seraph monster, then he can easily go off and start plussing extremely hard. And he can always definitely go for a ritual summon with the Herald, putting him on board, and at that point it would probably be game if I didn't have a way to get rid of it. So yeah, and unfortunately he reveals that he has another Scepter. Normal summoning the Scepter and using the Scepter and Sovereignty combo. Sovereignty special summoning itself to get a draw. Scepter will be searching for another copy of Sovereignty, and then he'll be able to get special summon that Sovereignty and get a draw there as well. So yeah, he's revealing the Sovereignty right now, gonna special summon it, get another draw, and if he overlays the Scepter, if it's used for a XYZ monster that has 3 materials, I believe, or more. I forget if it was or more or not, but it gets to destroy a card on the field, and if you do destroy a card on the field using Scepter's effect, you get to draw a card, right? So if he overlays 2 Scepters into Sovereignty, which he does right here, something that Ouroboros, Scepter gets to pop 2 cards, and he's probably going to pop my Ritual Sanctuary and my Summoner Monk, netting him 2 draws. Now he can't pop Aria because Aria is immune to targeting effects, which is gonna be pretty relevant actually. So yeah, here we go, Scepter getting an absurd amount of advantage from my opponent, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. How many cards does he have in his hand? I believe he has like 9. So he discards the Metaphors Fusion that he drew again with the Summoner Monk so he can summon another monster from his deck. He summons the Manju, which tells me, okay, he ran out of Scepters, and he probably, yeah, he ran out of Scepters. There's no reason to summon another Sovereignty this way. Yeah, I don't think he went through all of his Sovereignties though. Okay, overlaying 2 of his monsters for a Diamond Direwolf. Now this is what I'm saying where Aria's protection becomes relevant. He should have realized it when he summoned the Ouroboros, but he goes for the Diamond Direwolf, and he says he thinks this works, but he doesn't know. Yeah, Diamond Direwolf requires targeting, right? So can't target Aria, which means and he realizes nope. So he has to destroy his own Sovereignty. Which is not too bad because it does clear his field, although he probably could have gone for another 3 material rank 4 like a Deltros or something like that, and then during main phase 2 overlaid onto a Stellar Knight Constellar Diamond, which would have locked me out of sending things from my deck to the grave, which is pretty good to have, right? He can basically establish a really powerful lock if he really wanted to, fairly easily. So he goes for his Ritual Sanctuary and discards the Upstart Goblin to search for a Benten, which allows him to go for his Ritual Summon. Oh boy. Everyone's favorite monster of the game, Herald of Perfection. And now Benten will be able to grab him a search, and Dawn of the Herald adds Benten back for that guaranteed negation in his hand. Now, but because of the fact that he didn't summon a Scepter with his Summoner Monk, I know that he probably has a Scepter in his hand. So now I know he has Benten, Scepter, and a Manju in his hand. 3 negations out of the 5 cards in his hand. The other 2 are unknown. Now, Ouroboros goes and sends the Soprano from my hand to the graveyard, which kind of sucks, actually. It was kind of necessary that I had the Soprano, because one way I can get over the Herald is actually to normal summon Soprano, overlay Soprano and Aria for a Lightning, and Lightning can run over Herald without worry, right? The thing is, I can't do that with Summoner Monk, because if I summon Summoner Monk, his effect is mandatory to change him to defense position, so he will activate, which Herald can then negate. So I top deck into an instant fusion, and that's the same thing. I can't summon anything without activating an effect first. So activate instant fusion, pay the 1,000 just to force out the negation with Herald, just so he has less cards in his hand. And he did have that scepter that he just discarded there, as I called it. It's very important to pay attention to what Herald players have in their hand, right? Whatever they search, whatever they add back with Dawn the Herald, and what they summon off of, you know, Summoner Monk, what they seem to have in their hand. It's very important to keep track of these things. So as you can see, I'm checking his grave, I'm checking his materials. So I see that he went through all 3 scepters and 2 copies of Sovereignty. So I know that he probably has 1 copy of Sovereignty left, and he's most likely going to try and recycle his Star Seraph engine if he can. But yeah, looking at this game state right now, he just sets a monster because he can't get over Arya. Herald, from my experience of playing the deck and everything, it just can't get over Arya unless it has Raigeki or Dark Hole or something of that sort, right? If they're playing the Cyber Angel variant, which I know my opponent isn't, or else I would have seen Cyber Angel by now, the Cyber Angel variant has ways around the cards like Arya, because the Cyber Angel rituals have things that give them piercing, give them a larger attack, and all that good stuff, right? Some utility in there. Okay, so my opponent goes for an instant fusion as well on his turn, and I flip the Vanity's Emptiness, and I know that this is going to bait a negation off of Herald. There's no way that my opponent's just going to let this slide, right? So yeah, uses the Manju that he searched off earlier with the Benten to negate the Vanity's Emptiness, and then he brings out the Norden. Norden's going to bring something else back. It doesn't really matter what. I believe as long as it's not a Sovereignty, because Sovereignty cannot be overlaid unless it's for a 3 material rank 4 XYZ. So yeah, he brings back the Scepter, and he's probably going to overlay. At this point, I was thinking probably a Daigusto Emerald, because Daigusto Emerald allow him to recycle his cards and allow him to draw into his deck. If he's playing Raigeki, he's obviously going to want to try and draw into his cards as soon as possible. And if he doesn't, it's still smart to shuffle things back so that he doesn't deck himself out. Because at this point, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm just hoping that he doesn't run Raigeki and that I can deck him out in like, I don't know, 20 turns. But yeah, that gets extended to another 22 turns, so quite unfortunate for me. And it's also important to know that he has Ritual Sanctuary up, so he can always shuffle like 4 spells back to bring something back, just to make his deck, refill his deck basically, so it doesn't deck out. He has very easy ways to do that. So Ouroboros activating his effect and banishing my Hymn of Light from my graveyard, which I was completely fine with. I just didn't want him to banish my Soprano just in case I top deck into like a Soul Charge or something, right? So yeah, drawn to another dead card right now, drawn to a Saphra. This wouldn't be a big deal if I wasn't going up against Herald. Actually, if I wasn't going up against Herald, I probably wouldn't be in this position right now. I have to play passively because my hand wasn't that great. Unlike the first game, the one that crashed, the one that we didn't count as game number 1, you saw that I had a bunch of spell cards and I could just like try and bait all the Herald negations that I possibly could. First movement, Ritual Sanctuary, then pre-preparation of Rites, right? But yeah, now my opponent just sitting in a really good position. 4 monsters on the field, 2 back row, and 7 cards in hand. I did draw into a Hymn of Light, so I do have a way to summon Saphra, but that is obviously going to be negated by the Herald. There's no way that my opponent's just going to let that slide. If I get Saphra on the field, that's going to be pretty bad for him, because then I also get a Benten search, and then Saphra gets to do stuff during the end phase. Benten can search things like Honest, can search another level 4, so I can summon it. Overlay with Arya for a Lightning or something, run over the Herald. Saphra can run over something else. It's just, it's crazy, right? So my opponent goes ahead, summons a Manju, just thinning his deck at this point. I'm thinking, okay, so if he's thinning his deck, he's probably trying to dig for a Raigeki if he's playing it, and that's what he's doing. So, but no, apparently I was wrong. He just wanted to go ahead for the Saphra, and Saphra, really good because it can just start discarding cards from my hand, similar to my last game with Raid Raptors, where I'd summon Saphra, and if I was in a good enough position, all I would do is just every end phase discard something from my opponent's hand, because that way they'll never gain enough advantage to be able to push through my fields. And yeah, I believe that's what he does here. He discards 1 card from my hand. He discards the Benten. Quite unfortunate, but yeah, I get the Ritual Sanctuary, activate it. Herald is obviously going to bait this, not bait this out, just negate it. This is my third Ritual Sanctuary, so he's going to get rid of it, and that's it for my Ritual Sanctuaries. I have no other cards left that can recycle my spells, and I'm just stuck at this point. I can't set the Summoner Monk because it's going to get destroyed by battle, by anything, and to be honest, I probably shouldn't have activated the Ritual Sanctuary at all, because the Saphra here, Saphra just continues triggering and just continues discarding cards from my hand. This, as you can tell, a little frustrated because of how this Herald just doesn't promote interaction, right? It's a very difficult deck to play against once they're set up, and if you're not running Kaijus, then yeah, it's pretty much game over if you're facing a field with Herald, Saphra, Ouroboros, and some back row like that, right? So even if you get field wipes like Dark Holes, right, Gekis, they can just negate all of it, and they'll sit there being safe. So he brings back the Sovereignty here, shuffling 4 spells back into his deck. So it's kind of a mix between, like, is he trying to thin his deck, or is he trying to put cards back so he doesn't deck out? At this point, my deck is getting closer and closer to the size of his. I have 25 cards left, he has 22, and I'm drawn to a Soul Charge, but can't do anything with the Soul Charge because Herald's obviously going to negate it, and if Herald negates, Saphra gets to discard something from my hand, so holding back on all of that. And then he goes, thank God that I added this card, and reveals the right Geki. So apparently he didn't even know that he ran the right Geki. I believe he thought he took it out or something, or he just never put it in to begin with, but fortunately for him, he did eventually have an out to the Arya, and he's going to put everything into attack position. And just attack for game. I'm going to let him go through the motions of this, and because he was typing, so thought I'd hear him out and just not cut him off by by immediately surrendering, right? So he's attacked with the Saphra, attacks with the Dagusto Emerald, attacks with the Herald, and attacks with the Ouroboros. Could have finished me off right there, but you know, adding a little salt to my wound there, a little BM, just squeezing that lemon juice over that open wound, right? So that does it for the legit game number 1, and let's not waste any more time. Let's hop right into game number 2. Alright, welcome back to game number 2. So during the side deck process, what I did was I sided out a Summoner Monk, a Saphra, and 2 copies of Twin Twisters, because I know he doesn't really play much back row, being a ritual deck and all that. And I sided in, I believe, a Solemn Warning, a Solemn Strike, and 2 Gamma Seals, right? So those cards are really good against Herald. Warning can stop his insane summon. Strike can negate Herald, and Herald can't react to it because it's a counter trap. And Gamma Seals will allow me to just tribute over his Herald if he decides to summon it and just leave it out in the open, right? But looking at this opening hand here, I go Terraforming for Ritual Sanctuary, but I can't do anything else. I don't have much in terms of plays at all. In fact, I'm using an Instant Fusion for Norden without anything else in my graveyard, just so I can summon the Soprano and overlay for something, which is really bad as an opening move. So I decided to go for Fairy Cheergirl and say, can I get lucky? I have to get lucky with this, right? Draw into a pre-preparation of rights or something, but I don't, and I draw into a Gamma Seal instead, so I decide, okay, I'm gonna thin my deck with the preparation of rights, just get out the Ben 10 right there, and yeah, that's pretty much the extent of my plays. I just pass my turn. Don't activate the Ritual Sanctuary, because if he decides to go off with the Star Seraph things, then he can easily pop it and get additional draws, so banking on him summoning Herald so I can just Gamma Seal over it, and Fairy Cheergirl has 1900 attack and Herald has 1800, so I'm thinking, okay, I'm kind of safe in that regard. He can't just attack over it, so yeah. Anyway, my opponent goes and summons the Manju, searching out for the Cyber Angel Benten, which is telling me that, okay, he either has a pre-preparation of rights or he has the Dawn of the Herald and the Herald of Perfection already in his hand. So, of course, gonna use the Maxi on the Dawn of the Herald when he summons the Herald of Perfection. If you try to Maxi after he summons the Herald of Perfection, he's just gonna negate the Maxi, right? So, I get to at least go 1 for 1 here with his Herald. Drawn to another Ritual Sanctuary, definitely not what I wanted, but it's okay if he doesn't negate the Ritual Sanctuary, then I can go discard it and try to get some searches, right? But here I see that, oh, I have the Solemn Strike, which is really nice. And yeah, first thing I do, of course, is just Gamma Seal that Herald, just get rid of it so I can actually activate my cards. Look at this. I can do things when, you know, I'm not being completely locked out of the game. Okay, so here we go, searching for the Hymn of Light just because I want another spell card in my hand, praying that I draw into a Saphira or pre-preparation of rites with this Metamorphosis Fusion, but no, it's just a chain of just bad luck, a series of unfortunate events, not the book, drawn to another copy of Ben 10. 2 copies of Ben 10 now with the Hymn of Light. If that would have been a Saphira, that would have been absolutely amazing for me, because I would have had the Saphira, I would have searched with the Ben 10, I would have had, so I would have had a level 4 monster, Fairy Trigger on the field with Saphira on the field, I'd have Solemn Strike set, and yeah, that would have just been amazing. But anyway, my opponent goes ahead and summons the Scepter. I really should have negated Scepter's effect with the Solemn Strike. That I wanted to save it for, you know, I was thinking I'll save it for the XYZ, and then it absolutely just, I don't know how this happened. I play with Star Seraphs a lot, at least in the past, and it slipped my mind that, hey, Star Seraphs get to draw cards when they're summoned. Oh god, so yeah, he just going off. He gets the pre-preparation of rites, he gets to don the Herald, he gets the Herald of Perfection, and he is totally set up right here. He's like, alright, summoning this Herald right now before going for the XYZ summon, because, you know, what if it's a bottomless or something, then Herald can protect whatever he's trying to summon from that. Of course, adding back that Ben 10, the guaranteed negation in his hand. And I really want to use the strike on this Herald. I really want to just destroy this Herald, but I can't. If I let this XYZ summon go through, if it's a Deltaros, if it's an Ouroboros, it doesn't matter because he has a Scepter as material. So Scepter gets to just pop my back row in that case, so I can't let that happen. I have to Solemn Strike this Ouroboros, which... And it's just so much regret at this point. I'm saying, okay, why didn't I strike that Scepter? If I strike the Scepter, Sovereignties couldn't have activated or anything, and he wouldn't have been able to draw, and he wouldn't have able to, like, plus. I can't really tell from before his turn started whether or not he had that pre-preparation of rights already from his draw phase, or if he just drew it from the Scepters while he was comboing off. I believe he drew it off the Scepter's Sovereignty combo while he was popping off, but yeah, or else he would have activated immediately at the beginning of his turn, right? But yeah, anyway, he goes for an instant fusion. Norden brings back the Scepter from the graveyard, so allows him to go for a ring 4 play. Just so many plays, especially with all that draw, all those draws, all that advantage that he gets from the Star Seraph combo. Plus that Gamma Seal on his side of the field that I, of course, can't attack over because Fairy Trigger Girl is 300 attack points short. So yeah, he's sitting there with this. And he's not going for a rank 4 play, so I'm wondering what's going on. And I'm not gonna sit here and just talk for another like 2 minutes while we wait for the timer to tick down. But what happened was the game crashed again, and yeah, so that put game 2 to an end. And at that point, he wanted to do a rematch of game 2. He said he wants to do another take, but I said, you know what, nah. At that point, judging from his field, he had Herald of Perfection, he had Gamma Seal, he could go for rank 4, and he had 5 cards in his hand. Against me with my Fairy Cheer Girl and no way to ritual summon, at least not without just being outright negated by Herald, it was definitely a game that was, I had no other plays. There's no other thing that I could have done. Even if I got an Arya, it would have just been a matter of time before he drew into his Raigeki, right? So yeah, that was kind of a harsh way to end off the non-meta tournament. I ended up with a record of 5-3, I believe. We had a 5-round comeback. We were 0-2 at first, 5 rounds of straight wins, and then we ran into a Herald at the end. So a little bit unfortunate, but also a nice way to end things off, I think. Heralds were definitely doing pretty well in this tournament. just because of the fact that there was no meta to contest against it, right? So yeah, special thanks to my opponent Hawk301 from Reddit for this highly interactive match against Heralds. And for reminding me just how much I love not being able to play this game. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, subscribe for more Melodious content, and leave a comment down below letting me know what I can do to improve. And until next time, take care.